Hey everybody, how are you? Whew, headphones off. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Loud and clear, okay. Well, sorry, I was just waiting for a message that said you can hear me. All right, let's start the stream then. One coffee burp down, and then we can start. The Q&A, like, it got like half as many views as the actual episode did last week. So it means that a lot of people watch these Q&As. So you can't be coffee burping during the middle of a Q&A. That's going to last forever. Okay. All right, here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to Bach Speak Live Q&A for episode 2. Just finished. I'm going to take questions from the live Twitch chat, as many as I can over the course of the next hour. But before that, I want to show you some behind the scenes stuff that I prepared for you. Let's start with the video. Yeah, let's start with the video. That means I got to go to this cam, right? Bloop, yep. And then I go down to here. Yes. Okay. So as you could probably tell from watching this episode, I learned how to control the f-stop on the camera, which means the depth of field basically. And so I wanted to try out new stuff with the backgrounds, seeing what I could get in focus. And so you see basically the Victor and Jordy I use for testing, right? Obviously Victor wasn't in this episode, but you can see the outline of the actual background of this episode. And I'll just play it. And so I wanted to see like what a good background focus looked like. And so I tried this here. Also, you can see basically the original proportions of Victor. Originally, even the adults had really big heads and tiny bodies. But I think once we figured out the box size and just proportions of characters in general, I kind of had to make him have a bigger body. I didn't make the adults stand tall. Okay, so I tried like that one's the background's a little too in focus for me here, and so I didn't. So this is, I think I was like, oh yeah, this totally works. That looks like the background is far away from them. And then is this live? This is live. Welcome. I want to show you another really fun thing. So obviously this is a weird scene, right? We went to Bach Speak headquarters. I had not done an interior scene yet. And so this is cool in that basically my plan when starting Bach Speak was to have every background be far away and just be one flat thing. But scene 2 of episode 2, that already had to end. But I really like this wall. Obviously, I just I cut a hole in that piece of paper and then just put a different thing behind it whenever she had to change slides. But this is a really fun moment to me. I think there's audio on this. You get to see the moment I realized that I can shoot a room with 2 walls. This is this clip here. And so I bring in Sean. Right. Move the camera over. Really nice, dude. Okay, let me work on that. That looks sick. So you get to hear a few things there. Yeah, you get to hear me say dude or dang, and you get to hear me talk to myself. I don't know if that last sentence is you can decipher what I said. I said, because you're right, that looks sick. As if I talk to myself as 2 people. Sometimes when you're in production, that's how it's got to be. You got to refer to yourself as a second person so that you can have agreement with yourself or disagreement. So it's like, because you're right, that looks so cool. Moving on. Oh, but anyway, yeah, that was kind of, maybe we should move on. This was a huge epiphany for me. Like the idea that I could have a corner in a shot because I could actually create rooms. It's nothing I ever wanted to do, because actually creating the sets takes way more time than just putting paper up. But I liked how that looked so much. Obviously the shot in the actual episode looks a little better than that. let's just say this influenced, remember rule number 2 is don't talk about future episodes. This influenced a lot of how I started thinking about sets in Bach Speak, what I'll be capable of. So yeah, just that dumb little corner, that dumb seam, I love how it looks. I love how it just gives some realness to this scene. And that's really why I don't show you too much of like my desk and the stuff around it, is because I want it to stay kind of believable to you, you know? Obviously they're paper people, but it's kind of fun that there's a room in there. Okay, this is the first episode where you see the box disappear from outside the box. So in the script, actually I'm curious what I wrote down in the script for when the boxes appear and disappear. I did not have it planned out at that point. Okay. Jordy and CD summon their boxes is what I wrote for when the boxes appear, and so that's just that. And then when the boxes levitate off is what is written in the script. The boxes levitate off, and that is like not possible. It's kind of possible. But anyway, that's why in episode 1, you just see it like disappear around Victor, and he's like, oh. But of course, we see this episode from the outside perspective. I wanted to see the box disappear from the outside, and I didn't quite have that figured out. So let me show you the first attempt at the box disappearing after a loss. Blah. That sucks. That shot is so bad. And so this is one where I had to do reshoots. I did 2 reshoots for this. The first one was Sean was a little out of focus. And so I had to do Sean reshoots, which sucks because I had to set up that whole desk and everything again. So then I looked at that. I'm like, how can I do this better? I did this thing where I marked. I use a TV for my monitor, so whenever I'm looking at how a shot looks like, I just put pieces of tape sometimes when I need it to be precise. And so I put pieces of tape around where CD's eyes should be. And then here you see me like trying a bunch of different heights, and so I'll have something to edit against. And so then I got that, which isn't too bad. I think that would have worked, but then I had this weird idea of throwing a bunch of paper on them right there. And it turns out I only did it once. I thought I'd nailed the idea. My memory of it was just like, oh, this will totally work. And so I threw some paper at him. But, well, shoot, that's the end of the behind the scenes stuff. I want to show you what that actual cut looks like in the episode itself, because it's pretty cool.
What are the boxes made of?
It's an indestructible plastic called double plastic.
All right, hold on. Sorry, my bad. All right. Okay, here we go. Counter peek. Ooh, already went too fast. No. Okay, here we go. We can do that. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so we matched up the eyes. We got the eyes matching up. And then, poof, there's just like a hint of paper shreds. Right? Like they're not in focus. You can't see a single one of them. But this plus that sound effect, which is like a few sounds layered onto each other, it's like a balloon popping and like some sort of like digital noise. It's like a pop, boop, together. Play. Not like that. VLC, what is your deal, dude? Okay, here we go. So I really like how that worked out. It actually kind of makes a box disappearing work in a cool way. I wish this fit better. Sorry about this VLC stuff. VLC? DLC. There. Do we like that? Do we like that shot? Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. All right. But let me show you a couple more props and stuff, and then we can totally start taking questions. Oh yeah, one thing that people asked about last time that I never really showed off was storyboards. And originally I totally started doing storyboards. They would look like this. I don't do them anymore. Basically, this was the last episode I did storyboards. And you can see they're very sloppy, very loose storyboards. They're not every shot. They're every shot I'm going to need to take. So you can kind of see like Shugis, right? Like I needed a shot of Shugis, and like this right here is like basically my rough idea of what it would look like when CD is explaining the tiers. You can kind of see like I haven't figured out what any of the people are going to look like. Denise, I don't really have figured out at that point, but you can see the conference room. And then you can kind of see at the hotel room scene, really hard to figure out. Oh yeah, you can kind of see this. I was originally thinking of doing like a top down for that. It didn't quite work out. And then here you can see like me practicing some expressions I'm going to have to animate. Like nobody's ever done anything like that for me before, or what it would look like if a box suddenly disappeared around CD. And then I want to show you like how hard it is to like draw a Shugis. This is what I talked about a lot last week when I said that I use a lot of references for buildings and things, like things that I wouldn't normally draw. So this is like what I thought Shugis would look like off memory, which is obviously like kind of McDonald's-y, kind of fast foody. You got this pole here. And then like this is like super McDonald's-y. But then I like Googled what a modern McDonald's looks like, you know, because certainly City is advanced, right? It's a little kind of like sci-fi. It's like buildings we don't have. And they kind of like look more like this. And so then you can see me like trying some McDonald's-esque stuff, like actual modern stuff. And that's what that is there. Oh, this sucks. That's sad. This is like a shot of, this didn't work out. CD and Jordy walking down the street. You see depth of the sidewalk. No, it just did not look right when I actually tried drawing it. But then let me show you what Shugis looks like here. So this is you can see me practicing the fonts on the bottom. Like how do I even like do fonts for Shugis? This is basically what I'll just make something like this. This is bigger than it needs to be. I got better at this as time went on. And also it's a square. Obviously I didn't need a square. I needed a 16:9 rectangle. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, you can see like even like the signs. The signs I added later, they're actually like taped on. I don't want to peel them off. But yeah, the two signs that say Yum ×3 coming soon and Just Too Good Now. It needed a little more. You know what I mean? Shugis needed a little more. So I made some signs in the windows. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to show off was the entire background of Certainly City for this episode is really small. It's this. So I was feeling all confident about, you know, f-stop and putting things out of focus in the background. So basically this stupid little square is like, that's Jordy's close up and that's CD's close up. And like, that's the medium shot. You know what I mean? I wasn't completely happy with this. It worked better than obviously last week's episode. But it's kind of cool to see, you know. I think it was a little thin. I think you could, if you're paying attention, you could see that like I'm totally just using one piece of paper and like barely panning over. When you need elements of this person's close up not to be shared with this person's close up. And so like if that trash can is in both people's close ups, you've kind of failed. Cool. So that is all the BTS stuff I wanted to show you. It's now time to take questions. Boop, 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 which is the other camera. This one. Cool. And then let me just put up this in the background. Shouldn't be making noise. It doesn't. And then let me show you the 2 rules. So we're going to take questions from chat. We have 2 rules. 1, keep it about Bach Speak. Rule number 2, don't ask about future episodes. Boom. I'm allowed to talk about future episodes. You may not ask about future episodes. So let's take one. Can we get a 3D idea of the peak ref? No. Will the CD is my best friend shirt ever be official Easy A merch? I don't know. I don't know what we'll do next. I'll talk to Noah about what to do next. I think generally we're going to make more Easy A stuff. I don't know if it will only make Bach Speak stuff going forward, you know. Ooh, we got so many questions. Since this episode had so many diverse scenes, do you have a favorite? Which one was the easiest to shoot and which one was the most fun? So the order I shoot things in is difficulty. I knew that this scene would be the easiest. I basically just did this last episode. You know, 2 people in a city street. That's pretty easy. I knew that the hotel room would be the hardest. That scene is so hard to set up because I have 3 different planes. Actually, let me see if I can go back to this. Okay, let's look at that hotel room for a sec, because this was very frustrating. So this is taking advantage of the new power of controlling f-stop, where I can have Jordy on one plane, CD on another plane, and then the backdrop of the hotel room on the backmost plane. And these two are kind of in focus still, right? Like you can still see their details. Obviously, Jordy's a little more in focus in this shot. And then the backdrop believably out of focus, right? Like it's not too far back. But their heads had to be right up to their blankets. And so I had to make these like, they sucked. These extended, like taped together popsicle sticks to control both of these guys at the same time. That's why you mostly see one guy wiggling, even though he's not talking. It's just because like I'm just like desperately trying to keep them both in control. So I shot this first. I knew this was going to be really, really hard to do, hard to conceptualize, just like hard to figure out the shots I need. You know, in most every other scene, I'm going from angle to angle when I get close-ups. This is basically, you know, Adult Swim style. You just go closer, straight forward in when somebody's doing a close-up. You know, so the shot, you know, we tilt a little bit there. That's kind of nice. But yeah, really it's just a wide and 2 zooms. Like that hand, when CD has his hand on the pillow, that's just a whole other thing I had to draw and cut out, you know, it's not always there. Like I think each character has 2 expressions for this whole scene. No, 3, because they're also, they have the laughing expressions. And then of course the back of the head there. So yeah, that scene was trying. That was a trying scene. Setting this up, the boardroom scene, also nuts, because remember, I still got to control them all as puppets. I can't just like create chairs for them to sit in and then like let it go. I also have to make them wiggle. And so that's why you don't see a lot of fidelity in like Denise, look, you know, like they're little wigglers when they have these conversations. And so like I didn't have a lot of room here. Even like their chairs, those are popsicle sticks too. Those are all suspended by popsicle sticks. And so like this scene also very hard, because also I'm not puppeteering her from the bottom, obviously, because like I can't get my hand through there, so I'm puppeteering her through the side with like a stupid L-shaped popsicle stick. Or sometimes I would reach through, especially for the close-ups. But yeah, this whole thing sucked. It sucked to try to get the TV, the monitor. It tried to get that to sync up with the things behind it, and like that's taped in. And so every time I had to remove it, I had to like stick my fingers through the window carefully, not to make anything go out of shape. This whole thing, that little piece of paper I cut out, it actually moves around. There's a fun detail where Sean has a pen on his piece of paper, and when he stood up, I actually put the plain piece of paper beneath him, but I didn't end up using that shot. But yeah, generally this shot super, super hard to do too. And then all of the city stuff and actual Bach Speak matches were simple because I had been there before. So yeah, long answer to your short question. That's how I would rank the difficulty and enjoyment of these scenes. This, I gotta say though, when I was drawing these guys, I was laughing to myself. I love how these guys look. And there's 2 characters who never talk, you know? And the way they look is funny to me. I had a great time drawing this boardroom of Bach Speak organization executives. Okay, cool. Sorry, I should take another question. Boop boop and boop boop. How much room for improvisation is there in the voice acting for Amanda, Don, and the others? A lot. Amanda helped a lot throughout the entire process of Bach Speak. She and Jones were the first 2 to read any of Bach Speak. We had a read through together, and this was basically when we're trying to like figure out voices and stuff like that. And I remember being very self-conscious about my own voice for CD at the time, like having Amanda at this table read, and I basically just did my own voice, I think, because I didn't want to like try to do anything. But in the recording process, a heck of a lot of improv and a lot of like, hey, Kyle, do you think this would work better? And almost always it's the truth. It's almost always like she did find something that would work better, and we record that. I don't know of any examples in this episode of improv where I could point out and say like that was all him or that was all her. I will say, as the executives are leaving the room, as they're all walking out, when I had everybody record lines for that scene, I said, okay, and just talk about something fancy that you own. And so the only thing I can make out is Damiani talking about a boat, but generally you just hear a commotion of rich people talking about rich people things that I like a lot as they all murmur out of the room. You hear footsteps. Improv totally allowed, totally encouraged, because you never know until somebody's recording. You figure out characters better, and you can figure out scenarios better. It totally helps to have things spoken out loud before you realize how stupid something you wrote is. How is CD banana tier if he has negative points but the tier only starts at 0? Just didn't think about it. So banana tier, there's nothing lower than banana tier. I think it would maybe sell out the joke if you saw, maybe you should have said less than. No, it needs to start at 0. It would have sold out the joke that there's such a thing as negative points early on if we went there. Is marshmallow clover a real thing, or is it just something I don't know about? Or did you make it up? And if so, what is the inspiration? Great question. The inspiration is obviously Shamrock Shakes, the best milkshake of all time. Shamrock Shakes exclusive to McDonald's, so I couldn't call them Shamrock Shakes. So I feel like marshmallow clover is a perfect parallel. How'd you decide on the year 202? Are the 7 islands the only land masses? Those are good questions. No, I try to make that clear that the 7 great islands are clear, and then there are lesser islands. Bonefield Island's brought up in this episode. One called Slimy Island and Hunchback Island. I think those are the only lesser islands brought up in this whole episode. And at this point, we know of 4 great islands. We have Fairboat Island, Maximum Island, which is where Bach Speak organization is on. Big Crush Island, where the World Tournament will be held. And I guess that's it, actually. Yeah, I don't think we know of 4. So yeah, we have like three islands we know of now, which is kind of fun. Oh, of course, Let's Go Island, the one that we're on right now. So yeah, we do know of 4. We absolutely know of 4 islands. So yeah, that's kind of fun. And so yeah, it was really fun to draw a world map. I think that was like, I drew one and wasn't happy with it and had to redo it. Actually, I think I redid almost every single one of these slides. But yeah, like look at that close up. That's like a fun thing to draw, So it was fun to get that in early, so you all have an idea of what the Bach Speak world looks like. I can't tell you which is which, but I can tell you the red one is obviously Fairboat Island. Are the heads and bodies separate pieces so you can mix and match expressions with neck angles? No. Drum cutter, that's a terribly good idea. No, every time somebody's expression changes, I draw a whole new body for them. And I think you can just kind of tell when somebody's head is taped on or glued on, but also I think it's to encourage me to do more with the way that they're moved or something like that. And so if somebody is, crying, it's not the same just standing still with older shoulders there. When somebody's celebrating, it's not the same. And so it's nice to mix that up again. And sorry, the year 202, I think, all right, yeah, we'll go super behind the scenes. I was thinking of the inspirations for Bach Speak is like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Beyblade and Pokemon and all of these shows. And I feel like 2002 was a really good time for those shows. It's a really good rise of the game-focused shonen type, right? And so I figured like maybe this world would take place around, it's kind of like an homage to that year, right? And so it's just 202, it's not 2002, it's just year 202. where did I get the inspiration for the Bach Speak organization? Oh, that exterior shot. I think I looked at like Google headquarters and Amazon headquarters. I like Googled what headquarters looked like. And obviously it's a big red building, right? It's nothing like what an actual headquarters looked like. But I wanted to know like what the surroundings would look like. And yeah, a lot of those places in Seattle or whatever, they're just kind of surrounded by grass and like nice fields and things like that. And so I didn't feel pressure to put it in the middle of a big city or have it be a big, scary building, but actually they kind of go flat. They go very modern. They have bushes around. And so I went for that kind of thing with it. How was Don as a voice actor? His performance this episode was awesome. Don's really good. Don read up on his lines. You know what I mean? He cared about like proper delivery on each of these things. I will say the conference room scene has a lot of lines that I had to cut. Not had to, but this is the beginning of episode 2. And obviously it's a total tonal shift. And so I didn't want it to be too long. I had to I probably cut 50% of the lines of that episode. And so Don's got a lot in there that was cut. Denise has a lot in there that was cut. There's a bunch of stuff that just, even some jokes that just like weren't working. And so, I'm glad that, if you say it felt too short, that's a good thing, because if it felt too long is way, way worse. That is something I'm scared to hear. And so, you didn't get the full Don performance, but you got the beginning. Maybe when you're listening back to it some other time, you'll get to hear Don go, I am under the assumption that, and I had to keep that little TSK, that, and it happens before you see him. I love that reveal, Sean, cut to Sean. And then of course we're a healthy business. You don't have to make it complicated. And he just walks away. It's really good Don stuff for sure. Don's a good voice actor. Don is a considerate voice actor. When's the Snyder cut of Bach Speak? I won't do it. I will not make an extended Bach Speak. That is my vow to you. I won't do it. Did I do research into corporate business models of infinite growth? No. That whole scene, that just starts in, okay, this world, everybody loves Bach Speak. They are making maximum profits. What can they possibly do? And obviously, it has this fun tie into Fairboat Island, where Geordie is from. And so, you want the audience guessing at this point. You want them going like, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen on this storyline? Is this going to go anywhere? Am I ever going to see any of these guys again? Was it just a stupid scene that Kyle thought was funny? That's basically, I want you asking those 3 questions every single scene. This scene, you know what? I should share a funny part about this scene too. Originally, this scene had ended as they're both rivals. It was not until we had the live premiere of Bach Speak where it was apparent that the audience really liked the relationship between Geordie and CD, and it seemed kind of like cute and natural. That I had to rewrite this scene. So Fairboat Island is the right spelling. It's 2 words. Okay, so Geordie says, I could hear it through my box. I think that's probably why you lose so much. CD says, you could hear that? Says, yeah. I didn't want to say anything early because I thought you'd be mad. CD says, not even. Thanks for telling me, bud. Geordie says, no prob. I got your back. Good night. CD turns over to himself. Oh, I hate you, Geordie. I hate you so much. I just hate you. Come on, I just hate you. So it was a callback to, the Denise thing. So I thought that would be kind of funny as a callback. But no, it didn't work. And you can't ask about future episodes. I'll tell you about future episodes. They're still friends after this episode, obviously. And so, it was not worth having this weird... You got to make sure your jokes aren't ruining your storylines, right? You got to make sure you're not making jokes that will make people laugh but ruin your characters, and that was totally one. And so then I just tried to make it like a real sleepover. That's the vibes I was going for. I can't tell you how many sleepovers I've had where you turn off the lights and make the dumbest possible jokes. And also I'm not just playing off that. I'm playing off your expectations of a story, both times where it's the lights are off and you know, they get serious and they're like, Jordy? And he's like, oh, he's about to tell him a secret. And then just boogers comes out. That's like, that is what 12-year-olds talk like. You know, it's that to me is a really fun, important scene that had not existed until after the reveal of episode 1. So that's why it's kind of fun to do these. Dang, I was hoping the relationship would become more rival and less buddy-buddy. Sorry. No, I mean, chat was calling out during the stream. He's totally a Joey Wheeler. Somebody said everyone needs a Krillin. Yeah, that is what I do think your hero needs a Krillin. You need somebody who is clearly less powerful, who is there to support you, has your back, is there to kind of narrate and react to things, but does not challenge the status of your hero, you know? Joey Wheeler takes the L's like nobody. It's important, right? It's like support class. It's an important role to fill. And yeah, you know, I think that, you know, like one of the things I would critique about this episode is that its ending is almost the same as the ending of episode 1. You know, it's just like Jordy and CD having a serious conversation that ends in them being best friends. I think this episode had to happen, right? I think that obviously I'd love to move forward more with where Jordy's going, but it's important to have their friendship solidified, as opposed to just like, hi, this is my name, we're friends now. You know, now we have some appreciation for their friendship. We get that they're friends. We get why they're friends and how they're friends. Nothing's worse when just people are immediate friends or immediate lovers in a story. You know, you gotta work on it. Kyle, if you had to incorporate a real life world brand into the show, what would you choose? I wouldn't do it. No. It's so important for me to have 0 real life world brands in the world of Bach Speak. Like, what real life world brand is there in Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon except for their brand? The shows are essentially created to sell Pokemon and sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards and sell Bakugan. You know what I mean? It would negate the entire world that we're in, I think, if they started selling soda, you know? And so it would feel weird. It would feel very, very weird. Bach Speak was created to sell Bach Speak, right? Well, not really, but it's like making fun of that kind of world, you know? And so I don't think, you know, you got to be laser focused in these kinds of things. And the laser focus is what is true about all of these game focused shonen anime shows, you know what I mean? The worlds of them anyway. Because clearly we're not making fun of those shows anymore when we have this scene. We're making fun of their worlds more than we are making fun of their pacing and characters and archetypes and things like that. That is why, yeah, I wanted to have this scene pretty early too. Do we have more questions? We have lots of commentary on what's happening. We have a lot of jokesters in chat, which is fine. I love you doing jokes. Will we be able to download that sweet remix? That is made by Phantom NK. If you missed it, we have a hype song leading into each show. Let's keep it special for the pre-shows for now, and then let you download it at the end. Like once Bach Speak is over, maybe we'll let you download the songs. But I love it as just like the special song you hear once a week when it's time for Bach Speak to premiere. Bonefield Island is not one of the great islands. It is a lesser island. The kind of paper I use is kind of thick cardstock. It is this thing I brought up, what I use for backgrounds. I think that sound gives you kind of an indication of how thick it is. You know, it's this thick. I use this for backgrounds and people. Last week's episode 1, I was using this big, thick, stupid paper that was like a little yellow and like it showed up a little yellow for backgrounds. And I was using pastels and just big, broad things. It totally worked. And you know what? You can see it at the end. The bonus bit of last week's episode is just paper with, you know, pen and colored pencil. And that works. I realized that works. I don't need these big, broad, stupid colored pastels to make backgrounds. What was the most difficult aspect of audio? Is that what you asked? Audio production on this episode. Really good question. You can kind of hear it. I'm not too proud of it, but I'm like, we've mostly gotten rid of it. Is when Jordy and CD are whispering to each other, you can hear the noise reduction. Because basically when somebody's talking softly into a microphone, their wavelength is low, right? When you bring it into a file. And so when you increase it, yes, you can hear them louder, but you also hear all the background noise way louder too. And so it comes out as like, what? And so what you do is you put a noise reduction on it, and it's a program that just like takes out the it kind of works. None of them are perfect. And so a bunch of times in that last scene, you'll hear a little before somebody starts talking. That's annoying. It was frustrating. It is the best I could do. It's the best compromise I could do. We could do even better. I could work harder on the audio, but as usual, you just got to move on. You can't spend too much time on any one thing. Because I mean, Bach Speak is Bach Speak. And so, yeah. Filtering out noise out of the whispers, I would say, is the hardest thing for audio on this one. Oh boy. Would you ever consider selling a set of paper dolls in basic poses of the main characters? Paper dolls no, that's a weird market. I don't know if people would buy paper dolls. The kind with like squares that like peel over their clothes. I mean, I'd sell you anything. The female executive, Denise, had a very Plimpton-esque expression at the end. Where do you get your expression inspiration from? Plimpton-esque. I don't know who Plimpton is. I'll tell you, most expressions are off the dome. I didn't show you that. Maybe next week. Basically, I can't show you that. They're all gone. What I do is I'll draw it in pencil and then erase and redraw. And so, a lot of pen mistakes are still there, but you miss a lot of the experimentation I do. Oh, actually, yeah. We have these. And so, like, I work on expressions. Oh yeah, they're blown out. I showed you that earlier. I work on it, like how would that communicate and things like that. But there are exceptions. The showdown at the very beginning of the cold open. George Plimpton, Martha Plimpton. I was thinking Martha Plimpton. What kind of expressions does she have? Anyway, that showdown, I had to look up what angry anime teeth look like. And so I think I just Googled angry anime teeth. And so generally when I'm having a trouble with an expression, I would just ask Google, what would anime do? And so that's how I got angry anime teeth. It would not have occurred to me to have a gray line on Jordy's teeth on the side if I hadn't looked at what would anime do. And the gray line works. It adds some nice depth to his teeth. And obviously with every character being paper white skin, we need to differentiate their teeth from their skin sometimes. And so, yeah, that totally works. Would you consider fan art episode of Bach Speak? I was thinking about it. Is that like maybe we should at the end of these Q&As do fan art? It's just gonna add more work to my weekly thing. So maybe as a bonus thing afterward. But basically, I did not upload this video to YouTube until I think 20 minutes before we went live. And so the idea of me cramming in, dragging in more fan art before we go live is just adding extra chances for things to go wrong. Did you write the entire script for the season before production for episode 1? Yes. Yeah. I wanted to lock in the 10 scripts, but actually, yeah. I think I was trying to remember if I did the opening. I think the scripts were not finalized when I did the Bach Speak opening, but to me, a very clear idea about all the episodes and characters and things. Obviously, right? You can't make an opening like that without knowing the characters that you're going to meet and everybody. Yeah, I guess we would say by the end of episode 1, by the beginning of production of episode 1, the script was like 80% finished. I would say it was 100% finished. We had 10 scripts to shoot. I say we a lot, it's me. I had 10 scripts to shoot. But the reason I say 80% is I feel like of what I had locked in at that point, 80% remains, and a lot of it's all different. As I just said, we added like an extra minute. Added like an extra minute to the end of this episode. It's fair. It's we with that one because Amanda helped out a lot with that. That scene wouldn't work without Amanda's voice acting. So good. Was it? And for most of the pickups that I sent to Amanda, I'm not there. I'm not there to give any feedback or anything. And so I try to communicate with Amanda what I would like in the email, which is hard because you're just using your stupid words. And she nails it, right? I think I said, like, I want this scene for them to be like a sleepover. I want it to feel like more like an actual sleepover. And then she sent back those, that delivery was perfect. I meant Bill Plimpton. He's a cartoonist that makes absurdist cartoons. Oh, I can't say I'm familiar. But yeah, I definitely draw much more inspiration from, in terms of this anime than other cartoons. Though, obviously, every single cartoon I've ever watched has influenced this. I wouldn't call it anime style. They have dots for eyes and they have square noses and things. And so it's a weird mix. We decided it's called doodling. My style is called doodling. So Bach Speak is a doodle style show. Do the other allies know the entire storyline of Bach Speak? The other allies all have access to the entire storyline of Bach Speak. All I asked of them was to read their own minds, right? I think Ian knows. I think Ian peeked ahead and read everybody else's stuff. Jones does. Amanda obviously does. But no, most of the people, like, it's a surprise episode by episode what they get to see. Do you have a friendship in your life like the one between Jordy and CD? I mean, their friendship is cartoonishly strong. It's hard for me to imagine ever like clasping, way out of focus, but just like, grabbing a friend's hand after that, like, no, let's go find some enemies, but obviously you base everything you write off of everything you already know. Has this been pitched to anyone yet? Cartoon Network, Netflix, Amazon? No. Actually, I mean, I see that joke a lot about, like, when will this be on Netflix? I don't think that'd be right. This was funded by patrons, to appear on Easy Allies. I don't foresee that happening, Arnold and Carl Weathers in Predator. Yeah, it's kind of like that, isn't it? Just poof. I'm super happy with how that shot came out, by the way. The one at the beginning where they're like making the angry faces and then suddenly go to challenging each other, and then obviously mirrored by the one at the end where they're like slowly sliding into each other and then like clasp hands. Those two shots make me more excited than anything else in this whole episode. Maybe the corner in the conference room makes me pretty excited too. Are you proud of Bach Speak? Yeah, I'm as proud as I should be, I would say. I am more proud of this episode than last week's, and I'm more proud of next week's than the week before, And so I assume by episode 10, I'm going to be very, very proud. Who is the artist who makes the ending themes? Oh, those are all from Epidemic. Those are all like pop songs and other just what I do. I don't know. Basically, what I did is pretty early on. You can't. And when I log into Epidemic, they show you when you added songs to a playlist. And so I have a massive, massive playlist. It's maybe 50 songs long, maybe 75 or 100 of songs that I like on Epidemic that I think I could use for episodes of Bach Speak. And so, I've for months and months known the songs that'll be in the last few episodes. You just kind of look around, you spend a long time listening to songs, and you're like, oh, that would work. Oh my goodness. Holy moly. Let's look at that again. Boop, boop. Let me pull that up. Where is that? Where did that go? Oh, that is behind. What is happening there? What is this? Oh, that's the background. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. Oh, sorry. I had like weird stuff there. So, open WAN. I just noticed like the coolest little stupid mistake. This is a kind of fun, like, oops. Okay. It's funny, you don't realize it until you watch your own dumb episode looping. I've seen it 100 times. but not until this moment. Okay, look at this. For some reason, you can see the string of CD's box closed and the string of it being open at the same time there. Pause. And so clearly I composited this shot somehow, but I don't even know how I could have... His box is open and closed at the same time. He's got a little Schrodinger's cat in there. So let's see how it goes in like slow motion. I think it's like at the edge is where I composited the shot. I totally don't remember doing this. So you see a string on the top of CD's box and a string on the bottom. All right, go, dudes. Just go though. There we go. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, I must have drawn the line like right after the string. That's so cool. There you go. It's one for the wiki. The official oops. We got our first official oops. Well, no, it's like our 12th official oops. It's a live oops, which is kind of exciting. All right, so we do this and then that. Okay, cool. I got it. Do you get any Google hits for how to film a paper puppet show? Or will your Q&A videos be the first online resource on the subject? I suppose they are. Now you know. If you ever wanted to make a paper puppet show, watch out for oops. This is not meant to be instructional. Well, yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is for like, if you ever want to make your own thing, it's about making mistakes. You know, it's the clearest message I can give you. Do you giggle to yourself while drawing some of the sillier faces, like the giggle faces toward the end of the episode? Yeah, you all know that I love laughing at my own jokes. I absolutely laugh at my own drawings as well. I giggled way more at the expressions of the executives than I did anything else in this entire episode. When you thought of Bach Speak, did you think of it as one series or would there be more seasons? Don't ask about future episodes, but all I can say now is Bach Speak is too much work. I can almost promise you I won't do more episodes after episode 10. It kills me to make this show. Did you write the Bach Speak theme? If you did, what was the process like? Oh, that was a fun process. So, Phantom NK, a great artist. I think I was willing to ask Phantom NK, and this is before Easy Allies was a thing. I wanted a theme song for the podcast, and I was willing to ask because I had seen Phantom NK do Hey Ash and some Keith Apicary stuff. And I think he had once said, like, maybe on Twitter, that he was a fan of game trailers. And so I took a shot and I tweeted at him, DM'd, like, hey, would you be willing to make a theme song for Easy Allies podcast, which eventually basically became the Easy Allies theme song in general. And so, you know, we had that kind of pre-established relationship. And so I think this was even before I pitched, made the pitch video for Bach Speak. I think I had contacted Phantom NK and said, I would really love if we could make a theme song for the Bach Speak, the show I'm working on. As always, really hard to explain, especially at that time when it was nothing. And said, I think I just sent him the Pokemon theme song. I said, I love how this song builds. I love where it starts and I love where it ends. I love this theme song. It's exactly what I want. And he said, cool. He sent back, I can't remember the theme song he sent back. It's from like a show a little older that had crazy guitars and synths. And what was exciting for Phantom NK about this was to be able to work with guitars. Since most of the stuff he does is entirely electronic, you know? And so he contacted a friend, a guitarist, and actually he hadn't involved a guitarist yet when he sent me back the first thing. And it was funny because he sent me a track that is mostly exactly what you hear when you hear the Bach Speak theme song. Except it went, instead of din, 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 it was din, 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 din. And so it was up to me to come up with lyrics, right? For the whole song. And I'm like, what do I do with this? And so I just wrote back to him. I said, can you just please make it 2 notes? Can it just please be Bach Speak, Bach Speak? And he said, yeah, and he sent back a version that's just dun, 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 which is really cool. And then he said, all right, if this is good, I'm going to get my friend who's a guitarist involved. And then obviously Bach Speak has a sick guitar on it. I think, so I got that version. I had lyrics based off of what he sent, Elton John style. And so I had those lyrics written down, and I made a version where I'm singing it so that Jones and Ian could understand, because I can't write out music. And this was the hard part about communicating with Phantom NK, is that I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to music. And so basically I had to just like sing for Jones and Ian. So that version of the song is not very good. But they got it, and they're in the booth, they're recording those things. We sent that back to Phantom NK, who then said, oh, I have a better idea of what you want now, sent back another version, and then asked me to send the recordings of Ian and Jones over there. So Phantom NK did the mastering, the final version. And that is the final theme song you hear today. Why was Don not credited as Sean? Is he really? Is this the same thing that happened last week? Did I accidentally miss Don in the credits? No, I totally whiffed on Don. Oh, that feels so bad. All right, well, that's our second oops. Oh, it's because it says Victor and Peak Ref. That's in the credits for this week? It says Victor and Peak Ref 12. Oh, no. I cut out Don from the credits. I made it. That's our second oops. Dang, how did I not notice these things? Oh, that feels so bad. I'm sorry, Don. Yep. Is he the only one that's not credited then? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we got a slide from last week's show into this week's show. Right, Ian is credited twice because it's the exact same slide that was used in last week's credits instead of the one I made for Don. Dang. Sorry, Don. That's what we're here for. We should just leak all the episodes, and then you give me corrections, and then we'll premiere them later. Just make sure he's in the IMDb page. I don't control that. Chat, make sure he's on the IMDb page. I keep seeing the Dino sticker. Is there some way we can purchase it? No. So Dino shirt, yes. That's at fangamer.com/easyallies. Dino sticker is something Amanda, she had a great idea. She was going to Comic-Con. She's like, hey, why don't I print out a bunch of Dino stickers? And so it's actually a different design. I can grab that for you. So it looks like, come on, autofocus, dude, you see this. So it's like much more straight lines. Something I'm disappointed about this is that the mouth goes downward when the Dino's mouth is always supposed to be a straight line. Yeah, these stickers, they'll just, I don't think we'll ever charge for them. We just took it out of Easy Allies marketing budget, which, by the way, we don't use for a lot of things. As you may have noticed, Easy Allies doesn't do a lot of marketing. And so I think generally the idea is whenever we're doing a meetup or anything, we will just give those out for free, And so we have a really cool free thing to hand out for the future. We have a lot of stickers left. Kyle, where can we send our Bach Speak fan art to? No. I don't know what to do with it. Because I can't put it in the stream. I don't know what to do with it yet. So don't send it anywhere yet. But how can I not encourage you to make some? I love it all. Do you see yourself trusting anyone else with editing or puppet movement? No. And it's not so much about trust. Like, obviously if Ian edited Bach Speak, Don would have been in the credits, that would have happened. It's like, I just like to experiment a lot. When that thing came out about the Housers, when it talks about how they have like hundreds of versions of their trailers, that would be me. You know what I mean? I would want to try things and fix things and doodle with things. And so it is a lot about a control, you know what I mean? And I want to play around with every single shot 1,000 times. And so, no, I can't trust anyone, but I can't burden anyone with being an editor. And in terms of the puppeteering, I talked about how frustrating this scene in particular was to shoot. I don't want to involve anyone else in that process. I like having another person here to hear me sweat and swear and knock things over and be disappointed in myself. No, no one else can be in that room at that time. And so, yeah, it's got to be all me. And I think also, like, you excuse the mistakes because it is only me. You know, we shrug off the fact that I missed Don in the credits because it's like, oh, well, that was just Kyle, you know? And so you shrug off the fact that there's 2 lines on CD's jacket right there. It's like, well, it was just Kyle by himself. The more people you add, the fewer excuses you have for the things that are bad. I saw a direct story question that I thought was kind of funny. It was about, oh yeah, something that's been bothering me about episode 1. CD asks why they don't teach Bach Speak rules on Fairboat Island when he knows it's illegal. Why? So I try to think of that, Elephant. Bach Speak is so insanely popular to everyone here that, like, even if it's illegal, you assume that people know about it. And so, like, you know, it'd be like a kid walking in and say, what's alcohol? You know, it's like, you know what alcohol is. Sure, it's illegal, but you know what that is. What's a gun? It's like... You know what I mean? I don't think it being illegal means that you would have no idea like how anything works. And so that's basically the idea. That's what is trying to be communicated there, is that it is insane for someone from Let's Go Island to know a person who has no idea what Bach Speak is. You know what I mean? Like, just should try to stress that, like, all of these stupid rules are like worldwide known, except for, I guess, from Fairboat Island. If Bach Speak really takes off and continues on, would you consider doing a Bach Speak mobile game where you played Bach Speak? You imagine how Bach Speak IRL would be near impossible. Maybe this would be a good alternative. No. No. If I get a chance to make a mobile game, I want to make a mobile. I don't want to make Bach Speak. Bach Speak, because Bach Speak was designed to be a paper show on a limited budget, right? Bach Speak was not designed to be anything else. And so I feel like if you force it into those other things, it'll just be a bad version of those things. Is the tier order your objective ruling on shake flavors? Yes, it is. Because what is it? It's banana tier, strawberry tier, vanilla tier, chocolate tier, cookies and cream tier, marshmallow clover tier, right? I think I got that right. And that is, of those 6 shakes, that is how I would rank them, absolutely. CD's eyebrows are visible through the headband. Anime reference or personal style? Anime. 100% anime. It's like, it was an anime question I didn't even think about. You know what I mean? I didn't Google anime what to do about eyebrows behind headband. We've all just seen so much anime. We've seen eyebrows through hair and through headbands. It's just natural and obvious to us. I feel like even like Cartoon Network shows would do eyebrows over a headband at this point. Why only 1 point per match? That's because CD was not a valuable opponent. So, you know, when Victor says, I'm only worth 6 points, basically your point value as an opponent is flexible. And so, yeah, CD was simply a 1 point opponent. You can't get a lot of points for beating a CD out there, you know, it wouldn't be right. How did you design the box borders? As simply as possible. A lot of Jordy and CD is I know I'm going to make a 100 of these, you know. I'm going to draw and cut out 100 of these. How do I make it as simple as possible? And so that is why Jordy's hair is like 2 spikes and 2 spikes, right? It's not like a bunch of spikes, because that would be so annoying. And that's why the dino on his shirt is so simplified, because I knew I had to draw a bunch of them. And so, yeah, the box border being a simple band with a blue square, simple. You know, it's the least complicated version of what it needs to communicate. You get that it's a button on a metallic band. And so, yeah, that is, it's simply for the sake of mass production. Kyle, really liked the cold open to this episode, enjoying the pumping tunes to crunch each episode too. Did you ever consider having an end credits theme? made for Bach Speak? Yeah, Jolly Casual, that's an interesting question, and this is where we stray from the realm of parody, right? Because Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Bakugan, all the shows, right? Beyblade, they all have the same end theme song, and actually changes. It's exciting when they get a new end theme song. I love and hate the way that HBO shows end. When you hear a new song at the end, at the end of Mad Men, it's always punctuated by a cut to creative producer name, and then like just hitting a song in an interesting spot. I love that. It hits me every time. It's cheap, it's stupid, but like if I'm gonna make a show, I'm gonna use that, And so, no, I never considered having an ending theme. I knew I wanted a different song. Mad Men was AMC Sony. Yeah, I know. It's all dramas. Excuse me. I think of it as an HBO attribute. All dramas, almost all dramas, end with this cut onto the credits at a punctuated point in a song, And so I love it when it's done so well. It's Better Call Saul just gets you, And so yeah, it's not of the genre. It's just something that I wanted to do with a show that I would make. How much do you look forward to making things other than Bach Speak again? Uh-oh, you forgot rule number 1. Keep it about Bach Speak. What are your unrealistic hopes and dreams for Bach Speak? Do you want to be interviewed on Conan, Hollywood Star? Babington, a year ago, I had much more unrealistic hopes and dreams for Bach Speak. I wanted it to be big, and I wanted it to get 100,000 views and just be like a thing that I'm known for almost. And today, like, I get enjoyment out of this right here. I get enjoyment out of watching it live and seeing y'all react to it live, and seeing you like react to parts you don't like and parts you do like, and correcting me on parts that I did wrong, and talking about this tiniest little story details that don't matter. Like, it's weird, man. I'm like, I've had a pretty weird shift in earthly perspective in my own life's timeline over the last 12 months. And so my wildest dreams for Bach Speak are being achieved, basically. It's like, I don't expect for it to have a life beyond episode 10, right? I kind of just think it's going to be this really cool project that we all like, and then it's done, and then it's on to the next thing. Of course, we can't talk about that because of rule number 1. But yeah, I appreciate Bach Speak for what it is right now. I don't have a lot of wild dreams for it. Kyle, something about trees? Why do you hate trees so much? Oh, that's a joke. Come on. Any inspiration from the SpongeBob box episode, Imagination? Ooh, I'm going to say not intentionally, and I would not know what episode you're talking about until you wrote out Imagination in all caps. But no. I mean, everything that's happening in Bach Speak is happening. Was the idea of the box port at all a reference to Metal Gear Solid? No. Did you come up with all 3 rules at the same time, or did you have an aha moment for rule 3? No, I think the first 2 are aha rules. Rule 3 is mandatory. Rule 3 is you can put anything in your box that fits in your box. I needed that for the show to have legs, for there to be any episode beyond this one. I talked about the list of 10 ideas for episodes. A box squeaking was the weakest idea, right? And so, like, it's just, I just thought it'd be funny. Like, a box squeaks, like, oh, that's kind of okay, that's funny, it's a neat little cute joke, and it ends a Box Speak match. Basically, the reason why the episode starts with it's double plastic, that's why it's completely soundproof except for some high frequency noises. What? Well, like, one time a couple of fire trucks crashed into each other outside my box, but sometimes you can hear a baby bird chirping. So anyway, that whole line is funny. I think that's like funny dialogue, right? But it's all to seed the idea that boxes are soundproof. I needed that, but also I needed an episode where there's a squeak win. And so that's why there's the little caveat that you can hear some high frequency noises. Like if something squeaked, you'd be able to hear it. If you heard a baby bird for some reason, you can hear that. But if people are shouting, you can't hear it. If people are, you know what I mean? It's a necessary thing for the Bach Speak to work that you can't hear the peak ref counting off, first of all. And so, yeah, the boxes had to be silent, but also I wanted a squeak win. What can I say? So sometimes, you know, you make the rules work for your story. Jordy's box is broken? Well, no. The reason CD loses so much is people hear the squeaks. People hear him squeaking. Well, maybe that's not the only reason. He is not good at Bach Speak. In retrospect, was there something you would have changed design or story-wise in the first 2 episodes? Yeah, what would I change? This scene's pretty long. It's weird. Exposition's bad, right? It's what I learned throughout all the education I ever had on writing. But I love exposition in anime. You know what I mean? It's wrong, but I love it. In Hunter x Hunter, when they're explaining stuff, I love it. Just with diagrams, charts, anime does it so much. Here's the rules of our world, and we're just gonna put some words on the screen, and they don't even care, you know? And so while I know it's bad, hey, if I'm gonna do a story in this world, I'm in. And so I think this episode starts with like 2.5 minutes of exposition. Of course, amid the exposition, you know, we seed some you know, the Shugi's thing. We have a little like disagreement there, you know what I mean? You gotta do jokes amongst your exposition. You got to make it exciting, and you have to make it all for a purpose character wise. And of course it leads into these two having a match. Nen diagrams, yeah, exactly. Do the boxes have physical form somewhere before being summoned? Yeah, I think yes, that is in the dialogue of episode 1. All the boxes are kept in the basement fortress. And so all you can presume at this point is that there is a basement fortress somewhere that is full of everyone's boxes. Yeah, okay, just making sure that was episode 1. I don't want to reveal weird stuff about future episodes because of rule number 2. What were the tiers called before the sponsorships? Oh, lore-wise? I don't know. I kind of think it went hand in hand. It's hard for me to imagine a league, an organization, changing the entire names of their tiers. And so I got to think Shugi's was in there from the beginning. And probably you could think that the spread of Shugi's ties in with the spread of Bach Speak. Everybody loves Bach Speak. So being able to sponsor Bach Speak probably rocketed Shugi's to the top. Would you ever use a green screen? No. You mean for this? For me right now? Mm-mm. This is my living room. I don't want to put too much effort into this. So Jordy knows the sound, but I thought Jordy got out because he was curious about CD. No, he says, I wonder what CD is doing right now. And then you can see him react to the sound. It's almost like right after that you hear. And obviously I don't want like a little arm for, like, I think it's pretty clear he hears the squeaking. In R&D for what shots movements read properly on this must have been insane. Oh, S. Blomkamp. R&D for what shots moves read properly. No, I'm basically just going as I go. And so it's development and failure, and then once there's a failure, it's a redevelopment. There is very, very little research in Bach Speak, and that's, you know, it's the reason why you see a lot of the things. But it's, you know, it's the way it has to be. You know, I can't get this done if I'm doing research. Why is everyone white? Worth talking about again. It's because I don't like what skin color looks like when I penciled it in. It looks like I showed it a little bit last week in the behind the scenes for Jordy. It just looks like, you can see his shirt, right? That shirt there, if that was his skin color, it would just look patchy and weird. And so I don't know, I kind of embrace this idea that we're just in this paper world. Everyone just, you know, it's not that they're white as a race, you know what I mean? It's that their skin is white. I don't think of them all as racially white. Um, uh, yeah, in terms of production and making them actually look nice, it was, to me, I don't regret that decision at all. Coloring in the way I do, and if that was their skin, it looked bad. It looked bad for every single character. What's your favorite character design wise? I mean, probably that one you saw at the end of episode 1. Um, how much do you think about color theory? The suits really stand out as interesting color choices. Do you think about what colors characters wear and how it reflects their personality? Kinda, yeah. And so I think of, you see the background here, the stupid like neon colors, the purples and yellows and stuff like that. I think of them as wholly embracing this world of Bach Speak. And so, yeah, we're used to seeing executives in gray and brown and stuff like that, right? I wanted to make it clear that these executives are so in on Bach Speak and the world of Bach Speak and this cartoonish world that they also reflect those silly colors. Yeah, I didn't want them to look boring. I think that was kind of easy, and I think that these people have it made. I wanted to make it clear that they all have it made. They are in the easiest business to be in. You know, it doesn't make sense for any of them to work harder. You know what I mean? Why would you try on Fairboat? We have 100% approval right now. We have the best jobs in the world, that kind of thing. How do you get the cut so smooth? It seems like it would be really easy to screw up a cut. Yeah, I showed earlier when I do screw up cuts, it sucks. But generally, the human eye is willing to forgive a lot of stuff amid a blur. And so basically what I'll do when I want to switch emotions is flick it. And so if you have like and what's funny is you'll see a botched flick earlier on in the episode when, I don't know, like one time a fire truck crashed into each other. I couldn't hear it, and so I do a flick for butt because I intended to have a cut there, but I actually liked it without it. And so you kind of see CD do like a really weird jerk when he says butt. I don't know. It's not too noticeable as a mistake. But generally that gives you an idea of like what kind of jerk you have to do to hide a switch of two drawings. Any inspirations from Kaiju Big Battle, a mystery person from end of episode 1? Reminds me of Dr. Cube. Ooh, I wouldn't know what you're talking about when you said Kaiju Big Battle, but I remember Dr. Cube. But no, basically everyone has the same size head, and so I traced over that head, and we got a box. But also, like, doesn't it make sense to have, I don't know, it's Bach Speak. What advice can you give when it comes to this kind of big project commitment when you feel frustrated? What inspired you at what moment until you still go on? Yeah, it's funny. There's no way I'll quit now, right? There's no way that I'll give up now. You know what? If you call him Boxito Masked for now, I'm fine with it. That can be the unofficial name for him. And honestly, like, I'm using you. Do you know what I mean? This is not a thing that I would do on my own. And I recognize that. And that is the reason why those $2,000, it's not enough to make this show, right? It's not enough to make any show. But it was enough to obligate me, to financially obligate me to make this show for you. And so if you want advice on how to get something like this done, if you're like me, I think you may need outwardly pressures. I think you may need someone or something that will make you get that thing done, you know, whatever that is. It may be like you hire someone off Craigslist to like come by with a hammer if you haven't made a few episodes or something. I don't know. You know, I realize that not everybody can ask for $2,000 and fund it and make that happen for, you know, a large community. So I don't know, you know, it's about figuring out whatever would work for you. But that's what works for me. That's just, and it barely works, right? Like, you know, it's still taking too long. It's still taking longer than it should. can you customize your box apart from having your name on it? Rule 2, don't ask about future episodes. All you have to go by is what you see so far. Boxes are made of double plastic. It's an indestructible plastic. And whatever I say or do, you gotta come at with me a hammer, okay? If I don't have 2 episodes done, take a toe. When is Bach Speak spoiler mode? That would be really fun. We're gonna go all out on episode 10. When episode 10 is done, we'll go all out, and I think I'll show you scripts and more concept art than ever before. Why does Jordy sleep on the floor? I think that is just based off of my own friendship relationships. You know, we're not gonna share that bed. One guy's just got to sleep on the floor. Usually it's me. And also, it's for the joke. It's for the joke of like, you can stay in my hotel room if you want, but CD is still the guy to be like, it's my bed, bro. You know, it's like he's a friend at that level. Any inspiration from Initial D? I've never seen one episode of Initial D. I have seen it in arcades, and I've not looked at the manga at all. Did you ever consider making this with Photoshop and After Effects? No, and I'll tell you why. It's the same thing as why I don't want more people to help with anything. Once you start making this with Photoshop, you have higher expectations because you are capable of so much more. The things that prohibit Bach Speak, the limitations of Bach Speak, there's the word I was looking for, are what Bach Speak is. And so when you take away those limitations, it doesn't make sense anymore. Once you bring in After Effects, it's like, why are they doing paper boxes? Why aren't they fighting with Digimon? And so that is 100% why I don't even think about it. Once you touch something up, once you have one little CG aspect, it's like, why isn't all this CG? You break your own rules if you do something like that. Can you see yourself looking at advanced pop-up book techniques to add some dynamic paper movement? No, Jack's on deck. What do you want from me? No. I need to get this done. No. No. I know that I could do some cool stuff with more paper stuff, but yeah, no, I need to get it done. Oof. Can you only use the box to play Bach Speak? Yes. Can you rate a Mama Thirsty's milkshake out of 10? I think, to me, it's like weird. We have those, but they're called Mama Thirsty's. Again, on the surface, it's a joke. Mama Thirsty sounds funny, but the purpose of that is like weird. We have those, but they're called Hardee's. Hardee's and Carl's Jr. It's that kind of thing that like our two worlds are similar, but different for no particular reason. I have no idea why Hardee's and Carl's Jr. are the same restaurant, but different names depending on where you live. There's no reason for it. And so it's that kind of thing of just to make them, to separate their worlds a little more is the purpose of that. And to answer your question about milkshakes, they're the same. Ooh, those are the best shakes. Like, he knows the shakes, Will you be wearing the Dino shirt to the Game Awards? Game Awards is a high-class event. But also, keep it about Bach Speak. Rule number 1. Do the VAs come up with their own voices, or do you have an idea you instruct them on? That's a great question. Obviously, I come in and I tell anybody, I tell them as much as I can about the character. I'm not like, make this character talk like this actor or look at this. For Jordy, I mean, I think I definitely brought up Ash Ketchum when talking to Amanda, but I think she knew what Jordy talked like even before we brought Ash into the picture. She just, with Amanda, it was extremely easy to work on all the characters. I like Denise was like, she just got it. Here's the script. Here's what kind of character this is. Boom. With the rest of us, myself included, the non-professional voice actors. There's some development. There's like okay, read that line to me. And then we were like, no, like more like this. Okay, try it like that. Okay, we have the character. That kind of thing. Did you have to consider union stuff with Amanda at all? No, I definitely asked about this. We did not, fortunately enough. That was something that made me nervous, and that was something that I was considering when I was first considering the budget of Bach Speak. Kyle, do you ever look around your home at all the paper and boxes and equipment and just think, this is my life now? Yes, I do think that. This is my life now. This is not my life forever. This is the healthy perspective I have on it too, is that someday Bach Speak will be done. This is not a project I will work on forever. It might be 6 or 8 or 10 more months. Who knows? Yeah. I'm happy to have it be my life now. That's all I can say. I know that I have a healthy perspective on it. The possibility of Bach Speak DVD. We answered this last week, but I see it pop up a lot, so it's worth reiterating. Highly low. What I have right now with Epidemic Music, all the music we use for this, it's an online license. It's meant to be used for YouTube or here on Twitch. If that license extends to printing and selling DVDs, or even printing them, it becomes a different license, probably more expensive, definitely more expensive. And so the likelihood of that is low, because I don't, to be business Kyle for you right now, I don't think we could sell enough Blu-rays to profit off of what it would cost to license the music. It's nice music. There are better music libraries out there. I really like what Epidemic does, and I really like how cheap it is for YouTube. And that's what they designed it for. They're like, hey, if you just want to make videos online, we'll let you use our music for that. And, a lot of other music libraries won't be cheap for you. They're like, no, we cost this much. And that is final. And that is extremely expensive. And so it was super, super lucky to have Epidemic be willing to do this. Artlist.io, you can see there. We use that a bunch too. I prefer Epidemic because it's just normal TV music. There's some good stuff on Artlist, but it's a lot of just good songs. And so I definitely lean on Epidemic a lot more. And for all the sound effects, they all come from Epidemic as well. Would you ever consider a Patreon tier where the person gets to voice a very small Bach Speak character? That would probably go for a pretty decent price, and I would not consider it. I find it annoying, and it takes you out of it whenever there is somebody. Ooh, we got to end at noon. That's when Blood's streaming, right? We're going a little long. We'll do 2 more questions after this one. In a game when it's hey, I gave a lot of money on the Kickstarter tier. Here I am as a character. Even in Shovel Knight, it's a little weak, I love Shovel Knight to death. But it's just I hate it in TV shows and how can I tell you all how much I hate that there's a character named Slow and Low officially in Star Wars canon that is voiced clearly by Joseph Gordon-Levitt just because he's friends with Rian Johnson, and he does a weird country accent on this alien. It's just right there. It's that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Why is he here? Why is he named Slow and Low? Which is a Beastie Boys reference. There was a Beastie Boys reference in episode 7. I get that. But now it's a pattern? Now we gotta make more? Now it's a whole thing? That stuff makes me so mad. So to answer your question, there is no price you could pay me to get into Bach Speak. So Shenmue Tree's looking up the rights we have. Check platforms. Check the definition of platforms, because I think they mean online platforms. I think that basically what we have is called the digital or YouTube license. I'm willing to hear you out, but I don't think that leads us to be able to print DVDs. Do you enjoy the voice acting aspect personally? That's a good question. Yes, big time. I think that for a long time I've been bad at voice acting. I'm still not top tier voice actor. I realize that. But yeah, I feel like I got good during Bach Speak. I got better for sure. And it used to be really hard for me to do VO. even like during Final Bossman, in a booth. Just being in a booth, it's really hard for me to get in that zone and not think too much about the voice, and that just comes off bad. And so for a lot of Final Bossman episodes, even the entire Battle of the Bands episode, I was sitting behind my desk in front of the camera with Anton. None of that was in a booth. So the entire time you're hearing other voices speak, it's me looking at the script with poor Anton behind the camera, and I'm delivering all those lines in front of the camera because that's how I felt more comfortable. And so I think throughout this whole process, I got like better at voice acting, and something I did for myself that not a lot of the other people got. I would give myself more takes than I would the other people. Well, I don't know. People got as many takes as they wanted to, really. Oops, the daisy. Uh-oh. Okay, so we got official coffee spills on the episode 2 script, and this is just Bach Speak style. Like, we got, it's just some character. What was I gonna do with that anyway? Cliche. It's been fun. It should be clear right now, you shouldn't expect to see me do roles outside of CD, right? But like, just doing that voice is so fun to me. It's the way I conceptualized it was a lot more cartoonish than what I ended up with. And for a long time, I thought about doing it like my own adult voice. Didn't match well with Jordy, who was perfect from the start. And also like, when I feel like the moment I try to take it into a higher pitch, it worked, it's cool. Is the end of Bach Speak intro inspired by the end of Hunter x Hunter outro? It's inspired by many things. If you look for it, there are, I'm going to say, 100 anime intros or outros that end with the characters appearing and they just stand. It's like pop, 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 pop. It's just a thing they all do. And so I wouldn't say it's inspired by Hunter x Hunter or what was the one that was like, oh, you do it too. Oh, it was Yu Yu Hakusho does that too. Like they all just like pop, 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 pop. It's a thing. You just do it. You just show your characters at the beginning of the intro. What was the name making process for the characters in Bach Speak? This will be the final question, by the way. Just coming up with a random name, or was it deliberate? Not deliberate so much as like, this character was inspired by this person, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to use like 2 aspects of that name to put it into this character's name. Deliberate in that, like, I want it to be different. I don't want you to already know a character who has that name, who acts like this, and isn't already a star of some other show. You know what I mean? Jordy was not going to be named Jake. He wasn't going to be called Jack. So like, I spent a lot of time on Jordy's name, like just thinking through stuff, like what do I do with this name? It had to be like boyish, it had to be like cute, it had to have some youth to it. And so Jordy took me a long time. CD was so fast. CD I think is like, like my second attempt. Like Stuart, no. CD, nailed it. So just like I think like acronym names are really funny, and so like CD is also like in terms of like what we associate it with, I think we think of CDs as an antiquated technology now, and so yeah, it's just a fun name. Victor Ross. Yeah, maybe Victor, because victory, Victor. I guess you could go there, but yeah, I don't know. It just kind of sounded like an intimidating name. And so when you say, is it deliberate? Yeah, I try to find names that would match a character or what you expect of that character. And sometimes, yes, it totally takes forever. Sometimes I have to Google names to make sure they're not already used. Like I gotta Google Victor Ross. Is there somebody else named that? No. And so sometimes you get burned there and like, nope, that's a character on this show. And you're like, okay, all right, next. And obviously, I think you could Google Victor Ross and find somebody else right now. I got to make sure it's not popular. It's not a popularized name. If somebody used it on their own webcomic 2 years ago, we're cool. I think you and I are cool with each other, webcomic creator. We know how hard it is to have names. Is CD because his last name is so long? Oh, no, I think just Romanicello bounces off a CD pretty well. I just think it sounds nice. Cool. All right, let's clear out for Bloodworth, who will be streaming at noon. Thank you to everybody watching in for this Q&A. This is super, super fun. For me, I can't wait for you to watch episode 3. It is... I think you know what to expect from episode 3. You know what I mean? I think some of your expectations of 2 were not met, you know, story-wise. I think you saw some... Maybe you saw some characters in the opening and you're wondering where they are. So I think you're gonna like episode 3. I like episode 3 a lot. Episode 3 is when the show gets turned up, and so yeah, I'm really looking forward to you checking that out, being able to show it to you, and then of course answering all your questions immediately afterward, as long as they follow the 2 rules, of course. Thanks to everybody who's hopping in, asking questions. I really appreciate it. Apologies if I didn't get to you. The easiest way to grab my attention, by the way, is to do @EasyAllies, because it puts a nice black square next to your question. Should have said that at the beginning of the stream. Don't know why it didn't occur to me until the end. But that's how you differentiate a question that is toward me and a comment that is for everybody, basically. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we are having a 6-hour Halloween marathon, and all 9 of us Easy Allies will be in costume. Last year, Don wore an actual uniform from Starship Troopers. An actual uniform worn by an actor in that movie. How can we top it? It's yet to be seen. What time are we starting? 6 p.m. Pacific time. Check out easyallies.com for whatever time that is in your time zone. And for all future Bach Speak episodes, those are all listed at that same website. Like, you can look 3 episodes ahead. You can, right now, you will know what time episode 5 will air in your time zone. Monday morning Pacific time is what we're doing here. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. See you next week for another one of these. See you Friday night for some Scooby-Doo and Nickelodeon kart racers. And that's it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your questions. Looking forward to seeing you soon. I'm going to mute myself, going to wave goodbye, and then we can have a robot party.